A lot of us Chelsea fans is of course wondering how Enzo Maresca is going to set up his Chelsea side when Premier League starts. Which players are going to play in these type of positions? What formations are we going to start with? Where is our new signings going to be utilized and all this kind of stuff. So in this video we're trying to explain how I think Enzo will set up, and I'm going to finish the video on talking about a sort of lineup I would like Enzo to use, and I'm going to talk about which type of positions we can see certain players being utilized in, and of course you can leave your thoughts in the comments down below. So before we continue any further, as usually, if you want to be a legend for me, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my page and hit that notification bell down below. So let's not waste any more time and get into it. I think Enzo is going to start and deploy a 4-3-3 because that is what our board wants, which I hate to say. And now, which players are going to play where? Starting all the way back from the goalkeeper, I think Sanchez is going to be deployed there. Now, we have got news in the recent weeks that Enzo Maresca would like to keep him and not sell him, and a lot of us Chelsea fans think Sanchez isn't good enough to be the sweeper keeper, ball playing goalkeeper. And I think I agree to that extent, because it has been pretty dodgy this season that we had under Pochettino. He has been making mistakes, hasn't looked composed whatsoever. But could that also be because we didn't have sort of existing tactics nailed down under Pochettino? Because we heard from players that it was all about running and expressing yourself. So I think Enzo Maresca could build confidence in Sanchez and improve him as a goalkeeper. We could give him a lost season, a lost chance, and see what he can do if he improves. So I expect Sanchez to be the starting goalkeeper and Petrovic to be the second option. Now, in terms of the centre backs, it's very interesting here because we have plenty of good options to pick from here, and literally every centre back we have is good when it comes to building out from the back. Now, I think he's gonna go with Levi Colwill as a left-footed centre back to open up other passing angles. And I think Wesley Fofana will be paired next to him. He's coming back from his injury. He's training fully now in preseason. And Fofana is maybe our best ball-playing defender that we have in this team. So having them as a centre-back pairing would make me feel very comfortable. Have Tosin as a new signing. Where is he going to be utilized? Is he going to be utilized in the middle of that back three? Or that shifts into a back three, because the fullback inverts? Or is he going to be utilized more out wide like Fofana? It could be. We don't know the sort of answers yet what type of starting centre-back pairing Enzo will go with, but this is just what I'm assuming. And then of course we have Barashilla de Salsis to pick from. We have to wait to see what's going to happen with Gilchrist and Chalobah there as well. In terms of the fullbacks, Enzo Maresca likes to have one of them inverting, making a back three, and the other one coming in to the midfield. I think Cucurella and Reece James is going to start. Reece James is going to be the captain. He has done his surgery, so he should be ready to get going. And Gusto Chilwell could be the backups, unless Chilwell getting sold and we have Renato Vega as a backup there. But I think Cucurella and James will start. Now, which one of them is going to make the back three? Honestly, both of them can do that. Reece James can play as one of the centre backs. Cucurella can do that. They both can invert in the midfield. James were utilized as a defensive midfielder a lot when he was on loan back in Championship for a couple of years ago. And we saw under Pochettino that Cucurella was excellent when he inverted into the midfield. So that makes us become pretty unpredictable if we can utilize both of them in different roles. But I expect Cucurella to stay further back and make a back three, and that Reece James is going to move in to the midfield next to a deep line playmaker, which I think is going to be Enzo Fernandez. That's going to sit deeper and dictate the tempo, playing those progressive passes through the lines and find the place that we're gonna have in the half space here, because we know Enzo Maresca is gonna have a system that change into a 3-2-4-1. And who's going to be the player next to Reece James? I think it's going to be Enzo. Now, he's not as good defensively in terms of making tackles and interceptions as Caicedo, which makes this pretty tricky. Because I would also like to have Caicedo there being the deep line playmaker as well, because he's also very good in the possession phase. But I think Enzo is just a bit better there. And he should be ready now after he had his surgery after having the hernia problems. We have also options we can rotate with, like Lavia. I think Ugochukwu is going to go out alone, so he's not going to be utilized there. And Santos can fill those roles too, because he's a very versatile midfielder. He can literally fill any role you want in the midfield, which is so crazy about him. But I think James and Enzo will make that pivot. Now, is it perfect? I don't know. That's why I would like to have Caicedo there as well, but I'm going to come to that later, so stay tuned for that. Now, who's going to be our number 8 that's going to occupy the half spaces and create this box 4 when our formation is changing in the build-up play? Maybe he's going to utilize, if we're looking at Leicester, Enzo Maresca had Ndidi bombing up like a box-to-box midfielder and occupying one of those half spaces. I think he could use Caicedo in that role. Now, do I necessarily agree with it? Perhaps not. I don't think that's gonna be Caicedo's strongest game. I want him in deeper phases of the build-up play. That's why I will come to what I'm gonna explain later, a sort of formation tweak. But I don't know if that's gonna suit him. Or could we change him and Enzo, so Enzo will be one of the guys going up forward? I mean, that could be something that works too. If Conor Gallagher stays, I think he can fit that role too, even Casadei. I think his new signing from Leicester in KDH, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, is going to occupy the left 8 spot, because that's where he utilized him at Leicester and it worked to a T. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall had his best season ever. He contributed both the goals, assists, creating chances, and he's a box-to-box also that can run up and down, so he will also contribute defensively, which makes him very suitable for that role and position. So I think he's going to be in that starting 11. You can also argue that Enzo Santos could fill that position, or we can be even more adventurous and play maybe a offensive player there in one of those half spaces. So that's something we could do as well. Who's going to be utilized as our wingers? Because Enzo Maresca wants wingers that's going to stretch the field and make them isolating against opposition's fullbacks. They will pin the opposition defense. And when they receiving the ball, they're going to be extremely skillful and technical and try to go past these players and create spaces where they can either take a shot, make a pass, combine with a teammate, or put in a cross inside a box. Who's going to be those wide wingers? I think Raheem Sterling will stay and start as the left winger, because I have been very critical about Sterling. He hasn't had his best spell so far here at Chelsea. He has had moments, but he will be familiar in a system he were being utilized in under Pep Guardiola when he was at City before we bought him. And I think it could rejuvenate Sterling's career. And I think he will find himself pretty comfortable out there on the left wing or the right wing. So I think he's going to start and Mudryk is going to be the backup. I think this role will suit Mudryk too, because he is very good in 1-versus-1 situations and he can put in crosses with his left foot. He can run into the midfield and taking on players. Now it's just the defensive side of the game. I'm not so sure when it comes to Sterling and Mudryk. And on the right hand side, I think we're gonna have, of course, Cole Palmer being on that side and stretching the field, which will suit him. But honestly, I think it would be better if we're having him playing where Caicedo is and he can occupy one of the half spaces. Maybe we can have more offensive players if we're facing lesser teams. And if we're facing the top 6 team like a Manchester City, then we can have Caicedo or Gallagher in that role and just winning interceptions, tackles like N'Golo Kanté. Otherwise, I think Madueke could also stretch the field on the right hand side. But they both are really creative, good when it comes to taking on players. Cole Palmer can also run into the midfield, have a shot. Now the final position is going to be a dynamic striker that can also be a false 9 if Nkunku is starting there, which I think he's going to do. But Jackson is also good when it comes to the link-up play. He's shown this season. The only thing he's missing is his finishing in the final third when he gets the opportunity to score. But Nkunku is more dangerous when it comes to taking the chances, and he is someone that can drop down to midfield also and link up. So, I mean, if Nkunku starts and Jackson start, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, they both can do the job. But the main job of the striker here is going to be able to drop down, link with his teammate, outnumbered opposition midfield. And therefore he needs a good first touch and ball control, and Nicholas Jackson and Nkunku both have it. If Mark Yu is going to stay, he could also be utilized in that role, but I think he's more of a poacher and target man. So I'm not sure if he's going to suit that role, but we have to wait and see for that. Now we can talk about other players that could maybe start, but this is just how I'm thinking Enzo Maresca is going to deploy his 11. He's going to defend in a 4-1-4-1 or 4-5-1, which he likes to do at Leicester, where he just sitting in more a mid block and then pressing when the opposition comes and makes a poor touch. But he also likes his team to also press high when the opportunity arises, when we have lost possession. What we can expect from Enzo Maresca's team is that he wants us to heavily dominate in possession, be in control of the game, having midfielders that's going to be the metronome in the team. He wants players to occupy the right spaces. He wants to outnumber the opposition midfield. He wants to press when the opportunity arises and also be flexible and go down in a mid block. So that's what I'm expecting from Enzo and what we can expect. And this will be my predicted lineup, how Enzo will set up. So let me know all your thoughts around my predicted lineup, what you would change here. Do you think Caicedo will be suited as one of these players going forward and occupying one of the half spaces? I'm not so sure about it, but you never know. It could work out. Which will be your centre-back pairing? Which players would you have starting out on the wings? Who would you have up front? Let me know all your thoughts around that. And I'm so excited to see how Enzo is going to deploy his starting 11. Of course, it's going to be a little different when preseason starts because every player won't be back after the Euros and Copa America. They're going to go on holidays. We're going to see a lot of youngsters also getting opportunities, but it's going to be exciting times. Now I'm going to show you the sort of tweak I would like to see if things wouldn't work and you want both Caicedo and Enzo to start. What I will have is that I will have just Reece James going up and acting as one of the wide wingers or Malagusto, and then Cole Palmer just coming in and operating as one of the 10s or 8s in the half spaces, as you can see here. And then Caicedo and Enzo will be sitting there in a pivot and dictate the tempo and passes, etc. So that's what I think Enzo Maresca could tweak if things wouldn't work and you both want Enzo and Caicedo in their best role. That's going to be all it for the video. Let me know your thoughts and thank you so much for watching, and I'm out. Peace.